Hello everyone and welcome to the Italian Ikazuki channel. Tonight we are working on... Sorry, I'm just actually getting my laptop set up so that I can see the live here. Anyway, we're working on getting zippers installed into large box bags. I'm trying a different thing tonight. I turned the latency down, so that means that there was less delay between what I was saying and what the camera was seeing. Or what you were seeing on the live, because it kind of freaks me out that it takes so long for you to actually see and hear me versus what's getting like broadcast. But I think that's part of why my phone might be like freezing out, and the phone is the main camera. It's this camera here that's focused on the actual sewing desk. So I would prefer that you're able to continue to see the sewing desk versus just the comfort of knowing that what I'm saying isn't delayed by, it's like the Oscars delay. I think it's about 5 seconds maybe. Not 100% sure, but yeah, we're back today. We are working on large box bags for Knit City and Paula of Baaad Anna's. Basically gonna sew until I can't sew no more. I didn't get a lot of work done today because, I don't know, we slept in, which was good. Actually very pleasant. And then we just, I don't know, we came down and we played outside for, when I say we, I mean the kids played outside for a little bit. And then came inside, tried to feed them lunch, but they didn't want the chili that I had made. So we went upstairs, and honestly, it was a TV day, and I think we all needed it. So my eldest just finished their last week of summer camp, which I think has been really, really good for them, but also it's like draining for all of us. Obviously, they've been home for so much because of the pandemic that like being out of the house is very tiring for all of us. But yeah, so it was just a TV day, and honestly, I think that's the best decision. I'm gonna take my hoodie back off because I had it because the window's open, but I forgot that bugs get in through this screen, so I'm gonna close the window. Sorry, that took more effort than I intended it to. I'm actually gonna push my laptop back a little bit here so that I can lay the sewing stuff out a little bit easier. So sorry if the mic went all kind of warbly there because it likes to do that. There, and now the mic is behind the phone, so that should work. That it looks like it's still coming through. It's not getting blocked by the goose on our neck. I might actually shuffle. Yeah, there we go. Let's shuffle the phone camera up just a tick. There we go. Oh, nope. There, that's a bit better. Okay. So yeah, we just had a TV day, and honestly, it was really good. It was hot outside, and so I didn't want to take them back out in the afternoon anyway. I did bath night and just chilled. My youngest is super close to dropping their nap, so it's like the fact that we slept in meant that they didn't nap today, so they were ready for bed around like, I probably could have put them down to bed at like 6:30, but that way lies madness. They would have been awake by now already, which it's not even 10 o'clock yet. So, actually, if I lay it like this, that'll work. There we go. Anyway, they went down super easy tonight, so I guess we had a good balance of activity still. I got some work done on stuff I'm going to be bringing to Knit City still, which is good. At least a little bit. Got some wholesale emails out. Got like, basically it was an admin day kind of. And then yeah, put them down to bed. Had a snack, you know. And actually, oh, that's right. I was like, what did I do today? Because it wasn't even work related, but I actually did pick up my hand embroidery after the chat we had on the live stream last night. I picked up my hand embroidery and I started it, and I finished like a 1 1/4 flowers on it. So I'm quite pleased with myself because I've never hand embroidered before. It was super chill compared to like cross stitch or knitting. I was like, I don't know, like normally I'm not that zen about, or not that like relaxed about a new hobby when I'm first starting it. It's like, no, I gotta do really well. But it just like kind of came to me, and the only thing I regret now is that I don't have more supplies from Japan from my last trip because I wasn't embroidering at that point. And mostly it's like, just because it's like it's more expensive to buy here. So I'll probably buy, I don't know, I might just buy it here. Or I might buy like the cheap alternative and then upgrade when I go back to Japan because it's just so much more readily available. And when I'm talking about stuff like that, I'm talking about like a thimble and some needles as well, actually, because I want to buy some tulip embroidery needles. Although I think Caroline might have some, and I might be able to pilfer some off her. So there was that, and then yeah, I was pleased because it's like I haven't done anything really creative with my hands for a very long time. The kids left me alone more or less while I was doing it. So that was nice instead of just kind of like mindlessly scrolling my phone. Now I did mindlessly scroll my phone a lot today, and there's some form of recharge in that as well. I watched some more of the Tokyo Lens, like 15-minute documentaries on YouTube. They're really good. He's got a very like calm voice, but he also did a very interesting video that now I kind of want to go do next time I'm in Japan. So the first one that he talked about was I didn't know this, he's Canadian. It's Norm Nakamura, and he had to come back to Canada for a family, it sounded like a family death or someone close to the family, but this was during the height of the pandemic when Japan had its very strict like quarantine procedures and everything like that. And so he did like a whole video about being in the hotel, in the like government sponsored hotels, and how terrible the food was. But the interesting video that now I want to do in like Kyoto or Osaka is he walked across Tokyo from midnight till 4 a.m. And I'm like, that is very interesting. A walk across a major city in Japan at night would be so freaking amazing. So cool. So I'm like, I think we need to put that on the list. Maybe not for the next trip, but like if the kids are jet lagged, because they're not going to understand that you should try to shift your sleep pattern before, if you can. But like to go for like a walk through one of the cities at night, that would be super cool, and like a pretty good jet lag activity with the kids. It'd also be a little bit cooler. And obviously less busy. The one thing you mentioned, and I have noticed this as well, and it's really interesting too, is it's like once you kind of hit that late night period, unless you're in the districts that are like meant to be the nighttime districts, the cities are like super quiet. Now there's still like a small amount of traffic and stuff like that, but for this, like Tokyo has a population of 33 million people. Now I was discussing this with a friend. 33 million people was always the like number I had in my head. Like Canada never went over 33 million people. We went, I think we're at 39 million right now. But anyway, it's my number for Canada in the same like area of like in a city. The population of Canada lives in Tokyo. So, you know, it's going to still have some sort of traffic going around, and it's just insane how much of that traffic drops off, unless, like I said, you're in those areas that are actually meant to be the like nightlife areas. So, I don't know, it was a really cool video, and now I kind of want to poach the idea and do the same in Tokyo or Kyoto and Osaka. I don't know which would be more interesting, Kyoto or Osaka. Probably doesn't matter. Either of them would be interesting. If you think that would be an interesting video to watch, hit me up, and I will try to maybe figure something out. I don't know if it would be a live live stream, or if it would be, I'd probably live stream it and then like clip it out to just do the highlights sort of thing. Or something, I don't know. He condensed like a 4-hour walk into, I don't know, 15 to 30 minute videos. So it's like, and I don't even know where I would walk in Kyoto. Caroline and I did do some exploration in the, like once it was dark in Kyoto, and that's like, I do like exploring like Japan after dark. One of the places I would love to go after dark is actually Fushimi Inari. I don't want to hike the mountain because that just feels unsafe. But I would love to like do the shrine and stuff like that. So maybe what we need to do is we need to like start at Fushimi Inari. I don't know, at like 10 or 11, maybe not midnight. And then just wander back into Kyoto, because it's not like, when you look at it, it's not that far out from like Kyoto Station, which is where I think we're planning to stay. And if the babies get tired, then Dallas can always like go back to get a taxi and go back to the hotel with them or something like that. That would be good. So, more video ideas. And like I said, it may not happen this trip. It's probably a couple trips from now, because that would require more knowledge of like the area. I guess I could just use Google Maps. Like, it's really not a big deal. This feels like I'm going to end up with a camera before I go back to Japan for recording video so that I can have my phone. I have my eye on one. I know which one I would buy if I do that. Although now I do need to figure out if it's like Wi-Fi compatible or not. Like, could I do live streaming from it? Or is the best setup still for that like the phone and the laptop, or what? I don't know. Alright, so I think I counted these earlier, and I think I'm down to... Actually, let's just count them now, and then I know how many I've got left. So we've got 1, 2... Actually, yeah, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, nice, okay. I just did, yeah, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Looks like I have 16 left. Sweet. Alright. So that's for Paula's order, and then we'll go in and do mine, which is 40. So we should, I think I got through about half of Paula's order last night, and I didn't start until like after 10. We're already 15 minutes in, so I have a feeling I'll get through the rest of Paula's order at the minimum. And then hopefully I can get into sewing zippers into my large box bags as well. When I say my, I mean like stock for Knit City, stock that's not going to a store, or earmarked for a store. And then, yeah, what else happened today? I had another wholesale inquiry, which is super exciting, for a shop down in Texas. So we'll see if that leads to anything. And then what else happened? Also ended up, I don't know, it was just a chill day. It was nice. The embroidery especially was really nice. I really enjoyed that. And I'm pretty pleased because it's like my first time hand embroidering, and the stitches actually came out like even, or pretty even. And like it just, I don't know, like I said, it was super chill compared to everything else I do for like crafting. It was chill. Granted, actually, that's a lie. The 2 crafting activities I did today that were not sewing were super chill. One was work related and stuff for Knit City that I'm not sharing yet because I want to make sure I execute the idea properly. And then the other was for the hand embroidery. So they were both chill, which is nice. Probably helps the kids too, because it's like I actually had some restorative time. So one of the new things that I have been doing with these bags is I will actually mark like a seam allowance basically across the interior and exterior. That's what I'm doing with the area erase pen. Now I don't do it very consistently right now. But at least for the start of the zipper, it's nice to have for like this side. And then I should, realistically, I should just mark it on both sides. I don't know why I don't. But it's mostly just because I want to get sewing, I think. It's like, put presser foot on project, go. And that's what we're doing right now. Alright, sorry, everything is like in that back corner for the sewing desk. Oh, maybe that's what I should invest in, is I should get like a laptop shelf for like up here so that you're in line with me. Mostly so it gets it off of my desk, my sewing table. It's not a desk, it's a sewing table. Clear it up. And then I could like cantilever the phone out from it or something like that. Also, I think I figured out a way to store my zipper tape that's gonna work. If you were seeing me struggle with like how the black spaghetti monster that is the zipper tape I have was escaping yesterday. It's still like slowly slithering off the desk, I swear. I realized that one of the things I could do, because I've got this big empty shelf over here now, is I'm gonna look for cable spools or like that are used for electrical wire and stuff like that. And I'm thinking either I can buy them probably, or maybe if I go ask the local electrician's office nicely, maybe I can get some like, just get some from them. I don't know if they reuse them or not, so it's like waste diversion if I use them. Anyway, what I was thinking is that I could, like, it'll take some work because I would have to wind the zipper onto the actual spool, but it's going to be a lot less work than like gathering up the spaghetti monster that it is every single time I go to use it. And it solves kind of two problems in one go, in that I can store it, and then I can also just spool it off, hopefully. Like do a system where it's set up on like steel dowels on the shelf probably. Because here's the thing, is that as I slowly transition to zipper tape, I'm just going to have more zipper tape, and I'm still going to continue to have this issue of like, how do you store zipper tape? There needs to be like some sort of help group for not micro businesses, but not like warehouse businesses either. Like, I'm not stuffed in the corner. My production level is enough that I buy in bulk because I can afford to with the business, or at least I pretend I can afford to most days. I make it work. There we go. But then it does come with this issue of like, how do you store it? And there's no solutions. And I understand everyone is different, and every business is different, so everyone's got a little bit different problem. But it's like there's nothing. Granted, I think like zipper tape and stuff like that is fairly new, or at least it's not something that was like widely available when I started actually making project bags. I know it was available at like Fabricland and stuff like that, so I guess on some level it was, but sorry, just tracking down lining. Like it wasn't something that was widely available or easily available wholesale in smaller quantities, because like I wasn't at the point where I could use zipper tape when I first started. And I feel like it's more prevalent now than it was, so I could just be making that up. Who knows? But anyway, I think the solution to the zipper storage problem will be like electrical, like old electrical wire spools. So like the leftover bits, like a thread spool, literally. Just it was for electrical wire instead. So anyway, I just have to figure out how to source it. Oh shoot, this is upside down. But there's an electrician's office right by the place that I go to spin at every week, so I might just go ask them. Like, I don't see, because the thing is that like throwing stuff out like that probably costs them as well. I guess the concern would be that there might be some sort of, I don't know, would there be like a concern that something, like, I don't think wire's toxic. So, like, wrapping the zippers around it should be fine. There's, like, I looked on Facebook Marketplace and Kijiji, and there's, like, 3D printing spools, but I don't think those are large enough to actually store 200 meters of zipper tape on either. So it's like, oh, that's not gonna work, I don't think. I don't know. I guess I could get some measurements and then make a guess. Cause like I end up with spools from the leather that I use for the cording for the Kato bags, but that is definitely not large enough for zipper tape. So I'll figure it out. I think that is the solution. It's also not something that needs to happen until after Knit City again. All this organization stuff will not be occurring until after Knit City. But I can daydream about it right now because that helps keep this stream of consciousness going. And it also just, when I'm not listening to an audiobook, I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'll daydream about like how I'm going to organize my studio. And what actually tipped me off to the spools is, I don't know how, but someone was posting about mesh stackable organizers. So like those bins with the open fronts, and how they were using them for something. And I'm like, that might be a way to actually store the zipper tape as well. But it still doesn't solve the problem of having to take the spaghetti monsters out of the bin to work with them. Because yes, they do feel like they're critters that have minds of their own. At least the black one. The other three I still have contained with their tape, but it's not very convenient because then what ends up happening there is it's hard to get the zipper tape out of the containment unit. So it's just like, I can't win right now. And because it's a new product, new product that I'm using, I don't have any solutions. As I've bemoaned the past few days, zippers have been the bane of my storage existence for this business. Because it's just like I said, there's no solutions. Well, there's a couple, but it's like I also do not have like a $700 budget for storage, whatever, right now. The solution I'm talking about there is that lots of people actually purchase flat files, which is amazing. That would work really well if you have like close end zippers. It won't work for zipper tape though. Again, it's like just won't work. So it needs to have something that's like some sort of spool system. And then basically what I'm thinking is I'll put some metal strapping on the shelf like I've seen other people do for like rolls of stuff, and then put some steel dowel in between, and then slide the zipper onto the spool on the steel dowel, because that should support it. In theory, it should, especially since like the weight rating on this shelf is nuts per shelf. So I think it's something like 250 pounds. I won't put 250 pounds of zipper on the shelf. I might, but I'll distribute it between a few shelves or something. I don't know. I'm making stuff up now. Alright, these bunnies are adorable. So I was chatting earlier that I've been watching more of Tokyo Lens. He's previously Canadian, living in Japan. Previously, I don't know, he might still be Canadian. He has family in Canada. There we go. Because one of his videos from a couple of years ago that I watched today was about having to quarantine in the like government-sponsored quarantine hotels, and just the rules and restrictions and all of that. But he had an idea, or he had a video that I'm gonna pilfer the idea from. I don't know when yet, but I will. And he walked across Tokyo at midnight, which is super cool. It's such a good idea. Love it. So I'm gonna take the idea, and eventually what I'll do is I'll do like a walk around Kyoto at night, which I'm actually like already super excited for. It's like one of those things that just, it came to my head, and now I'm just like, I am going to hone in on it. The issue, I don't know if it'll be next trip or the trip after that. There's a few things to figure out. It's like, do I live stream it? Do I just film it? He took like 4 hours and condensed it into a 15-minute video, which is insane. I'd probably post both. I probably would post both. And then the question would also be, it's like, is it this trip or is it another trip? And where? One of the places I've always kind of wanted to explore at night is Fushimi Inari, which is the giant Torii-gate shrine that's in Kyoto. I was actually talking to Caroline about that, about how cool that place would be at night. So I think maybe what a good one would be to actually start there and then walk back towards like Kyoto Station through Kiyomizadera area and all of that, because shrines are open 24/7. So I would not climb Fushimi Inari Mountain because that seems dumb at night. That's like that. Yeah, no, that just seems dangerous and a stupid way to die. But what was the meme that was going around a while ago? Dumb ways to die. And yeah, that would be one of them. Anyway, but like walking from that area, like starting at the shrine at like, I don't know, it doesn't even have to be midnight, it could be 10 or 12. And then just exploring. But as he was saying, and this is very true, and something I have noticed with Japan is it's like in Tokyo that has a population nearly the size of Canada. I referred to it earlier as my idea what the population of Canada is. So Tokyo is 33 million people. And for some reason, Canada never went over a population of 33 million people. Although now it's like, I think it just turned over 39 the other day. Anyway, but you have this city of a population of 33 million people, and once last train hits, it's quiet. Like, there's still people out and about, because of course there always will be, right? It doesn't matter. But it's like, unless you're in a nighttime district, so it's like a place for late night entertainments, and I don't just mean the scandalous type, I mean all types. Bars and stuff like that, clubs, etc. It's really quiet, and it is very interesting because I have noticed that as well. So it's like, yeah, it like even like once 9-10 rolls around, it just quiets right down. It's super cool. And yeah, and then you stuff like the population of Canada into one city, and like very few people are out. It's just insane. Anyway, I think I should do Kyoto. I think Osaka would be really fun as well, but I would need to, like I said, I would need to actually figure out where I would walk and what I would do. Osaka might be really fun along the river from Hirakashi, and you walk one direction or the other, basically. I don't know. I'll do some more research into that, but it would be a fun project to do. Alright. I don't know what random topic to go on to tonight. The other day we talked about the Canterbury Tales versus the Fairy Queen, which is probably the most random thing on a channel for frickin' Japanese fabric bags. But you know, I was an English major. Who'd have thunk this is where I would be? Certainly not the people who sent me on exchange to Japan. Most people do something more normal, like, you know, go on exchange and then go back and teach English or something. More normal. I don't know. Whatever the term for that would be. More normal. That's what people usually do. There we go. The more usual path. That's what it is. I do kind of laugh about it though, and I'm kind of proud of it at the same time. Because obviously I'm proud of my business. But also it's like, and I'm sorry, I sound like a broken record with this story, but it is something that has stuck with me recently. when I went to university, one of my big goals was exchange. I really didn't care where, but my top location was I wanted to go to Japan. Multiple reasons. One of the major ones being Sailor Moon. That was like my gateway into Japan. But I was an English major, so like I chose 2 universities in Japan that had a very similar term structure, and I put them on. I had Kansai Gaide, which was extremely competitive. Like only 3 students from U of C went, which is my university. And then and that was between Kyoto and Osaka, and I knew I wanted to be down in Kyoto, Osaka, or at least if I could. It also had the term structure that was the closest, so it ran like September 1st to the end of May. It was an American term structure, closer, with a month break for Christmas. Anyway, it didn't put me off schedule for actually coming back to Canada and like continuing my schooling after the exchange. That was the main reason for choosing it. And then I think I chose one in Tokyo that was like a similar term structure. I don't remember the one I chose in Tokyo because it didn't matter because I got the other university. But then my final choice was Edinburgh. And the only question I remember out of that whole exchange interview was, you've got 2 Japanese universities and then you've got Edinburgh. Like, why is that? And it's like, well, because I really want to go to Japan, but I'm an English major, so Edinburgh would actually be more useful for my degree. And like, little could you know that sending an English major to Japan for her exchange would have spawned this sort of business. Like, I actually need to email my exchange coordinator if she's still there and tell her. Because I'm pretty sure she was an exchange student in Japan as well. I don't think at Kansai Gaidai, but that's why she was like the exchange coordinator and stuff like that. And I just need to like thank her if she's still around. I think it would be a really good idea. Because yeah, it's just like, it's wild what how some people's choices can affect you so much for good, to be honest. Because like, they didn't have to send me to Japan. Hell, they didn't even have to send me on exchange. They might have looked at me and been like, no. Right? Like, there was no obligation on their part either direction for any of it. So I just think it's cool. And it's really cool because like, honestly, quite a few of the people that I was on exchange with have gone on to do some really cool things with having been on exchange in Japan. So one of them followed the usual path. She went back with JET, and then she stayed on with a different school board. One of them took a totally different path. I think he's finished now, but he did his PhD in Tokyo. And then like a lot of the people that I still see on Facebook and stuff like that, their world still revolves quite significantly around, if not directly the Japanese culture, like the soft culture, like anime and the games and everything like that. So it's just really cool to see. Anyway, apparently that's the random topic of the night, since I briefly talking about Fairy Queen and Canterbury Tales. And there's no like frogs to be like, oh, it looks like one of the scrolls I know. Actually, there's a pick your own order over here, and it is frogs. Oh, that's right. Okay, I think the sage bunnies, I definitely cut beige fabric for them. Yeah, because there's more beige fabric underneath. Sweet, because if you opened up this sage color and had like white lining, I feel like it would be really like stark. And the brown is just a little, or the beige is just a little bit more inviting than like having a white against this fabric. And from what I can see on my laptop, that's fairly color accurate. I'll tell you if it is once I actually see it on YouTube. But I'm going to continue on and start matching stuff up instead. Yeah, so YouTube's actually taking the yellow cast out of the filming tonight, which is really nice. So that's actually fairly color accurate, which is awesome. Maybe a bit like washed out, but nothing terrible. I need to look in, like, again, I've got a learning curve on this software, but I need to look into if there's like any color balancing or anything on it. So I could potentially balance out the color, like just maybe 5 points more of saturation, please. this end, and then we'll put the zipper in. I was chatting with a friend on Instagram today, and she's like, Knit City's so close, and I'm like, shh, we don't talk about Knit City right now, because I'm just like, oh man, it is so close. And obviously working my butt off to get ready for it, but it's just like, oh, I don't need to talk about it right now. Caroline's team for Ancient Arts last week emailed out a thing of like, it's 5 weeks to Knit City, and I'm like, I didn't need to know that. It's like I'm totally delusional about when Knit City is until September hits. So like next weekend, I will actually probably full on start panicking. Also because next weekend I only have 2 weeks left. So because it's like, yes, I don't leave until like the Thursday before the event. But I have to have everything like done and packed up by Tuesday, so, or at least as much as I can. I will. The plan already is to tag everything either in the truck or the hotel room, like the night before and the night of, sort of thing. Like so, Thursday, Friday night. I've already told Dallas this. I'm like, you are driving, so that I can tag. And if I'm driving. I'll have to tell him that actually. I haven't told him that yet, but it's like if I'm driving and you're having a break, you need to be tagging, because that is the plan. I guess that means that I do need to do like, oh man, I actually need to order more product tags. Speaking of tags, I have to decide. Weigh in what you think, but I've got 2 options right now. I can do a square tag, which is super cool and would actually set them apart, or I can do the usual like business card size, which is what I've done in the past. It's what I've been doing since I started printing my own tags, basically. But I'm like, they're the same price, so it's not a price difference really either. I'm just like, do I just stick with the same design? I put more information on it, so I don't have to keep putting more information on it when I send stock to Market Mall. But I'm like, I cannot decide if I should do the square or if I should do the rectangular ones. Because I feel like in some ways the rectangular ones are probably easier to read. I probably could make the font on them a little bit larger, but the square ones are nice and like trendy. I'm like, so do I follow the trends or do I go with, I should go with accessibility. I said that and then I'm like, no, that's dumb. I should go with accessibility. So there's the decision made. Mostly in part because I also need to order them now. I should probably ordered them last week, 30 minutes ago. Nope, that is, oh, okay, we just gotta, I gotta pull that out because I think I might be right on the selvage, but that is a little bit too tight for comfort. Don't think I'll have to seam rip it. No, but I do have to scoop the rest of the fabric over. Or the zipper, or both. It's like right on the edge. And with the sage, you'd be able to tell that I missed the selvage. Or missed the, yeah, there we go. That's better. Not that I missed the selvage, that I caught the selvage. What I'll do is I'll go in and I'll make the font a little bit larger on the new business card tags, and then I'll get them ordered. Done. Sweet. And then, so my friend's still planning to come out tomorrow, thankfully, and she is going to do the elastics. Well, she doesn't know this. She's going to do the elastics with Kate Cozies and Grime Guards. And I'm going to sit outside and turn all the handles for these. Well, I'll sit outside with her. I'm not leaving her in the house. But yeah, I will do I'll turn the handles for the big bag, or these guys. box bags. Those words combined. And what else am I going to do? I'm going to singe the ends on the knot bags so that it kind of just sets the stitches and also gets rid of all the little like fray-y thread ends that like I try to get rid of those with scissors. It doesn't work. Well, it does to like a point, but then there's all these little like little things like this, and so it'll be nice to get rid of them finally. I should probably bring my Zippo to God, can't believe that sentence came out of my mouth. It was coming out of my mouth, but I probably should bring my Zippo to Vancouver, because then if there's like other ends on bags, I can do the same thing, like for the large box bags and stuff like that, because there's no way to actually hide the top stitching ends and stuff like that in the box bags. I can in the big bags and I could in the wedge bags, but not in the box bags. Their top stitching is completely exposed. So, because I can't top stitch straight down to the end of the zipper, just because of how the actual like sorry, that took more concentration than it should have. I can't sew to the end of the zipper because of how the ends are finished. Okay. I also don't know what bag we're on. I know once we get to the penguins, we're pretty darn close to being done zippers for Paula. Start thinking up like conversation topics for this beforehand so that I don't have like a bunch of dead silence. Could look up like articles or something. I don't know. I am moving the mic over here. It's going to be sideways to me, so sorry if it's like kind of crackly. It doesn't like being moved around. There, it can sit right in front of my face basically. I just need more room right here. I do also need a drink of water. Yeah, so all I did for the embroidery project today was satin stitch. This is a super easy one, so there's like, well, it's a good beginner project because like there is satin stitch, there's pinwheel stitch or something like that. It creates the roses. Back stitch, which I know from cross stitch, and then French knots, which I also know from cross stitch. So it's gonna be fun. Like I said, I really liked with it that with the embroidery that was just like super chill. It was so chill, and it was actually the kids left me alone while I was doing it, so I didn't have to worry about puncturing anyone. It was all very restorative. Should I have been sewing or doing something for work? Yes, but I think the restoration was probably just as needed and more beneficial. And tomorrow we don't need to have our alarm on again, which is nice. So that'll be good. We just have a nice chill morning. I need to tidy up a little bit before my friend comes over. Like I said, mostly in the studio. Although actually I moved the two biggest tripping hazards besides the cats. So I had like two bins of products right in the middle of the floor, and it's just like they just got plopped there after Omat City. It was fine, but they were in the way for sure. So it's more beneficial for me to have them out of the way anyway. And when I say out of the way, I literally shove them against the shelf that's over here. They're not very far. It's just a little bit easier. So I feel like these beige linings came from another project, and now I do not know. I do know that we need to go and pilfer some of the fabrics from the small box bags that I've previously cut, because it was like I was off by like one, and then I miscut a couple pieces as well, so we'll see what happens. Lots of bunnies for this one. which is fun. These bunnies that I'm working on right now, the sage and the navy and the natural linen color, are all cotton linen blends. And they just have a really nice hand. Sorry, I'm struggling to get some interfacing over here. That's why the bag is artfully draped over my stomach. There we go. Just refuse to come this way. Yeah, I can't decide. I think I like either the sage bunny or the navy bunny is the best. So this is the sage bunnies. And actually looking at it right now, yes, this is my favorite because you can actually see the blue in the flowers, whereas on the navy you can't see that blue very well. So, and the sage bunnies are going to get paired with this really nice warm brown zipper, which is exciting. It's just a nice, exciting sew. Because with these guys, I decided, with the sage ones, I decided the brown zipper. With the navy, we ended up with like a navy zipper, which made sense. A brown zipper wouldn't have done anything really. But this nice warm brown on this one like just warms up the actual whole bag and everything like that. It's awesome. There we go. I don't know if that's gonna work, but having some of the fabric out of the way will be helpful. So Knit City is my last currently planned event. I do have a couple more on my radar. Hopefully that I'm going to be able to, like, I'll either be accepted into or that I can attend. From what I understand, there's another like NJCA with the Japanese Society in Calgary. So that's the, I think, NJCA's New Japanese Canadian Association, and the CJCA, Calgary Japanese Canadian Association, has been hosting a bunch of events, or apparently hosts a like market in November. That's fantastic. So I'm hoping I can do that one. And then I've got my eyes set on a market in Edmonton, but the applications for it don't open until September. So fingers crossed for me that I get into it. They have 2 shows, and one of them is on a week that Dallas can look after the kids, because I can't leave town. Like, I don't have anyone to look after the kids that I can leave town for 3 to 4 days. So, not yet. They're still too young for that. And that's fine, but it just like it works out when these shows actually have then 2 shows, and I can make it work. Alright, bunnies under the presser foot, let's go. And then if I get into that the show that I'm looking at in Edmonton, it would be the last weekend in November, and then I would be done, and I would come home and decorate for Christmas, hopefully. Hopefully I would have enough energy to do that. So, the next, like, actual online shop update will be happening after Knit City at this point. It's kind of like, I don't photograph stuff before an event, because it just feels like a waste of time, when a lot of it will end up selling at Knit City. So I do... and partly it's like, I could use that time to be sewing before the event, to be honest. To be blunt, that's where I'm saving time. So, the next online store update will be after Knit City, which will be good. My chair is so squeaky. It looks like it's showing up on the mic even. I don't even know what part of it's squeaking, so I gotta figure it out and put some oil on it or something, because it is driving me nuts. Oh yeah, I did not get tidied up today. I literally just shoved my scraps further down under the sewing table leg. They're like in between the sewing table leg and my desk, or wall. Oh well, they're not going anywhere, that's for sure. But they are all the way in my chair now, which is good because it means they aren't going to be bothering me. Which is also bad because it means I won't tidy them up as fast because they're not bothering me. Alright. Some of these are just taking a little bit more effort than I would like, but that's okay. This could also just be that I'm getting tired. What time is it? It's not even 11 o'clock yet. Man. I have noticed that my night owl capabilities have drastically reduced, especially since having kids. Like, I used to be able for these show pushes to be up until 1 or 2 a.m., get up at 7, and then, like, do it all over again the next day. And now it's like I'm up till, like, 1, and I'm shattered for the next day. It's like the worst part of my youngest potentially dropping their nap, or like working towards dropping their nap, is the fact that I can't nap with them. Although I haven't really been able to nap with them for a while because my eldest hasn't been napping for quite a while, about a year or 2. So I'm just like, man. Actually, that's probably what I'll do on Monday while they're in childcare. At the end of the day, I will have a nap before they come home. Because then Monday night I have to tidy the house. Or at least start tidying and like cleaning it before Dallas comes home. Go. Almost done. Sweet. But yeah, the fact that it's like 11 o'clock and I'm like, I am tired. Excuse me, is very annoying. As long as I don't get too like wobbly in my stories or too tired, I'll probably try to go till midnight at least tonight. Just because it's like there's so much to do. And granted, my old like night owl habits were not healthy. Like staying up till 2, or not necessarily. Like they weren't unhealthy. Maybe, I don't know, but I don't think they're healthy for me. It's just because I was able to do it doesn't mean I should have been doing it. I guess that's where I'm trying to get at. I tried to do that before my Edmonton, with my Edmonton show push for November last year, and it had, I felt like absolute crap afterwards. So it took me a lot longer to recover from that show than it should have. That's also partly just like the lack of practice, like recent practice as well, but it was definitely just I pushed way too hard when I didn't have the capacity to do it. So thinking about that, the amount that I got done between Knit City and Edmonton, I'm pretty well set up to do what I want to do for Knit City, hopefully. Especially now that the kiddos are in childcare. And I've got 2 weeks of really good pushes available to me with Dallas home. So I don't know if I caught the zipper there, or at least if I caught it well. We'll find out here in a moment. I know, there's so many things that change. I think the one that bothers me the most is the fact that I feel like I only have, like I totally did not catch that zipper for most of that bag. Like, the mom brain. I think that's what bothers me the most right now. It's like night owl stuff, okay, whatever. Like, that's just gonna naturally probably wane with age as well. Because, like, when I'm talking that I was up till 2, up at 7, I was also, like, 6 years younger. That's a big difference for the body and the brain. And a bunch of my friends have been saying that too, is it's like we're all about the same age, and they've noticed that like drop in night owl ability as well. It's not just me, which is good to hear. But yeah, I think the mom brain thing is what bothers me the most about having kids. Just not quite as sharp anymore. They, however, are getting extremely smart, and I'm very proud of that. So bunch of forms I need to fill out for my eldest that the preschool sent me. And I could not get logged into the system, so I gotta figure out how to log into the system. This is the sort of thing, I mean, like the memory gaps. And yeah, we had COVID this time last year, and I don't think that COVID contributed to the brain fog. Just being a mom did. Just normal circumstances, not the pandemic. Which, to be honest, I'm glad for. Okay. I'm also very glad that we are not suffering from COVID this year, because this is the year anniversary of that. I like how I can like time it based on that. It's ridiculous. No. Ah. I was just trying to weight you down, not give you a weight to slide off the table. There. Nope, not yet. There. Line up the interfacing. The penguins. I really like the ruffs on these guys. They're like a purple and brown gold. They're not like gold, but anyway, they're all the penguins on all these bags have a little bit different of like a neck coloration. Okay, monitor just turned on, but it was just from the loud truck driving by outside that distracted me out the window, and then distracted me because the monitor turned on. Noma Taylor keeps posting new fabrics, and I keep going, oh my goodness, I want them. They posted a really good cat one today, and I'm like, no, stop taunting me. By the way, Flynn is in the background right now doing the quality control inspection, sleeping on the bags that we finished last night and earlier in the stream. Actually, looking at this one, between the black zipper and the black dots, I think it needs to have black top stitching. The other ones, because they have lighter zippers, I'll still do white top stitching, but this one, just because of the dark, I think needs to have black top stitching. So if I can like push that out into the hive mind so someone remembers that I said that, that would be good. Actually, so tomorrow night, I think I said something, I can't remember what the Instagram said. I like write those stories out, and then I'm like, I have to keep going back and referring to them to be like, what did I say I was gonna do? Oh right, I said I hoped I wasn't on zippers anymore, and I would be working on big bags. So what popped in my head as I was saying that I was gonna black top stitch these black polka dot penguins is that probably what I'll do is I'll turn all the handles tomorrow, and then I'll top stitch the handles tomorrow night, just because it will be fun. No, we have to finish zippers first, and then we can go in and top stitch. Just like, wait, no, I got to, that doesn't make sense to change the thread colors twice. So I have to line up bags and handles at the same time to top stitch. So I only have to change the threads once during this project, this section of the project, I guess. Scooch down a little bit. There we go. This one's also gonna get black twill pulls. I switched over to like cotton twill tape for the end pulls. And it's really nice. It's actually got a nicer feel than the grosgrain and the other ribbons that I used to use. Also the benefit of that, again, it just kind of streamlines color picking processes for bags. They fall into the two categories. Either they get a light pull or they get a dark pull. And it also means that it doesn't pull away from pull attention from the bag as much. And actually counterpoints it a little bit nicer than having a zip or a ribbon pull that's like super bright or not. Like, what color am I pulling out of the bag, sort of thing. So taking that off of the choice load has improved making the box bags significantly, actually. Alright. Yeah, we're down to the penguin bags, which means we're nearly done Paula's large box bags, like for zippers at least. So we're nowhere near doing the rest of it, but we're almost done the zippers for the large box bags. That's good. That's a big step, actually. I think that means that there's like 4 more penguin bags, the Maneki Neko, and some sheep to sew. Oh yeah, and the other thing I'll do tomorrow, so I'll do, while my friend is here, I'll turn the handles, burn the knot bag threads, singe them off, burn them off, wahaha, and I'll turn all of these so that they're ready for top stitching. Because surprisingly, when you're doing like 80 large box bags, that takes a little bit of time to just turn them all out. And then they're all going to need an iron, because this fabric has not taken kindly to have been being cut and stored like it was. Could I have maybe folded it nicer and put it in the box nicer? 100%. Did I? No, so I'll just have to iron it out. Should iron before you top stitch anyway, so it's probably part of what I was thinking, actually. Don't have to, but yeah. It could also be that, like, when I ironed it originally, I didn't get all the creases out, and then when I folded it, it just helps set everything in place. I ironed all this stuff back in November and December, so I don't actually know, or don't remember. I don't think I even actually recorded a lot of that, so that's probably something that'll happen a lot off stream after Knit City, simply because it's something that, like, our washing machine and dryer are upstairs. So overall, it's something I can actually do around the kids, and they can watch TV and have more toys than they do down in my studio right now. Although they were asking to color today, so I think I might need to actually set up a little, like, I need to probably set up a little kids, like, art table, just so they have a specific spot. That's the only place that the markers get used. Like, just start reinforcing that, because otherwise they run amok. There's definitely chalk on my walls right now. Not that it'll be perfect, but it'll be better than what it is right now. Maybe we'll try and find a little desk with like drawers or something, so we can put all the art supplies in there. Because that's part of it, is like, how do you like store that stuff? Upstairs, I repurposed one of those plastic towers finally. They're like the crafter's bane, I like to call them. It's not glitter, that's herpes. Crafter's herpes. I inherited a couple of those plastic drawer towers from my grandma, and it's like, they're so useful, but what do you ever use them for is part of it. But on the flip side of it, it's like, as soon as you get rid of it, you think of something to do with them. So I've just kind of had them floating around for quite a while, almost 15 years. So I would have gotten them when we moved into our first place, I think, together. Or like when I started really sewing. Yeah, I don't exactly know when. Anyway. Man, that's been a while. Okay. Anyway, I inherited them from my grandma, and blah blah blah. Long story short, I don't know what to have done with them for a while. One of them's got like some D-rings and lobster clasps in them, but of course the drawers need organizers to like organize smaller stuff in them. I had to deal with the whole like crafter kryptonite of like, what do you do with leftover craft supplies that you don't use? So I gifted them on, at least through our Buy Nothing page, which I think was probably the best decision. There's still knitting projects and crochet projects that she never finished, and I'm like, well, the one I think I have it listed for sale, but it hasn't moved. So I'm like, someone else may as well do it. But the other one is a little baby sweater, and I'm just like, I don't even know what to do with it. And now that I say it that out loud, I don't actually know what that is right now. It's probably in one of the boxes that's still like unpacked from our last move. We've done pretty good about getting rid of reducing that, but there's always one that creeps up on you, no matter how diligent you are about unpacking. I want to do a big... We did a pretty good job before we moved, actually, of doing a decent purge. But I want to go through and, like, what I've told Dallas is we need to go through every box we have and make a decision and, like, pare down what we actually have in the storage room. Some of it's super useful or has, like, a purpose, and that's fine. I don't mind keeping stuff. It's just, like, there's stuff that just... Why do we still have it? Yeah, and so the tower that I've got upstairs has, like, a tea party set in it, and it's, like, got all the little vehicles in it, and, like, they've got a toy box as well. But honestly, I think the drawers are better because they're able to open and close them and get stuff in and out of them. So maybe I should actually transfer all of their, or a good part of their toys into there too that fit. Like their alphabet, not alphabet blocks, but like hiragana blocks, Japanese alphabet blocks, stuff like that. That should probably go in there. And that's where we're storing their markers and stuff like that. The problem being is that there's no good way to like lock up the art supplies. So that can get a bit hairy some days. At least not one that I've found, because the wraparound locks don't really work on it. So, but yeah, I've got the other one downstairs and I'm not using it for much. So we could actually transfer what's in it out of that tower, and then I could use it for the kids' stuff down here, which would be good. Like the paper and the pens, and then it would have a home. There's actually a space. I know exactly where I would put it. And then just get them a little art table. Because they've got like little recliners down here right now, which are adorable. But they're really only good for like watching TV in. And I would prefer them to be doing other stuff than just watching TV. And so if I provide them the space to do that in, the mental theory is that they will do it. I don't know if that actually works in practice. But my eldest is starting to get to that point of like able to sit down and do that sort of thing, as long as the youngest doesn't come along and destroy it. Because we also have that. The second child is definitely the destructo person. Yeah. Problem with that mentality is that like, okay, so my mom, I would not classify her as like a high hoarder. Stuff gets thrown out, but there's definitely hoarding tendencies, which I'm pretty sure are genetic, like most mental things. And I've done a really good job of fighting against that, but I find that it does take a lot of effort to get rid of stuff. So like, yeah, that's probably a good way to do it. I just haven't done it. It is stuff like, there are definitely boxes in that room that haven't been touched since we moved into our first house. So it's like, okay, we need to go, Dallas just wants to throw everything out. And I'm like, no, we do actually need to sort through it. Because you have ADHD, which means that you've doom boxed it. And you don't necessarily know what's in it. So that's why I'm saying we need to go through the boxes and actually figure out like what is in these things and what's going to be useful. Because he also has a little bit of a tendency of like, well, we should keep it around for the kids. And I'm like, well, is polymer clay that I've had for however long actually going to be good by the time that they use it? I don't know. But yeah, that's probably a good policy. But it is stuff that's like, we need to put hands on everything and figure it out. And part of it is also that we've been waiting for like, again, I don't mind keeping the stuff. I actually prefer a maximalistic space. But it's like waiting for stuff to hang things on. So like I've got a bunch of our Starbucks mugs collected, and Dallas just finally hung the actual rail to put them on last weekend. So like they look really good. And like, so the thing is I want to figure out what we want to keep and then create the proper storage solutions for them, so that when the time comes that we do use them, so if we're keeping stuff for the kids to use, we need a way to know where it is and what it is. That's part of what's bothering me. So drawers, I think maybe get another drawer for upstairs, and then we'll put the... Yeah, we could actually put some of the art stuff into that they could use right now. Because they're starting to transition into some of the stuff that we've kept, so... Yeah, and it's so hard. It's also like fighting against the mentality that my mom always had of like, well, this could be worth something someday, and it's like it's not worth anything most of the time. But again, I also just I don't want to go through and just throw everything out either. It needs to be. That's one of the things I took away from the condo style of organizing is it's like, be grateful for the purpose it did serve you for whatever it was, right? And so I think our things do deserve a little bit better treatment than just dump it. I also like going through and passing things around on our like buy nothing page. So I actually got gifted a really cool little mini remote control car on there the other day. So I'm super excited for that because both the kiddos will absolutely adore that because I love Mickey and Minnie. But so I like being able to pass things on as people can use it as well on there. So I did finally get my husband to go through his like box of wires. I'm like, again, I'm fine keeping it, but like pare down the duplicates at least. Like, you don't need 6 dozen. That's an exaggeration, but you don't need like a dozen. I don't even know what it'd be called anymore, but like the AV cords that like our TV hasn't used for the past 10 years. Like, keep one. That's fine, but don't keep like half a dozen to a dozen. That sort of thing. Plus, if I followed the year mentality, most of my stash would be gone because I haven't touched any of my stash really for a year. Oops. But I guess I have an intention for it, so that's the difference too. I do actually need to go through and de-stash though. I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, I've got a lot of stuff that I bought that like was really good at the time, but I'm never going to use now. Actually, I did find this colorwork stocking. It was in the bag I thought it was in, so that's good. But I've got yarn from the fingering weight colorwork stockings that I was going to knit, and it's like such Christmas colors. Oh, but that would make a super cute little kid sweater. If I have enough, I'll keep it for the kid sweater. If I do not have enough, I'm going to de-stash it because at this point the lot numbers are going to be completely different. And actually, that's part of why I stopped the fingering weight stockings. Is I was actually on a roll. I think I was on the third one of 4. And the white changed lot colors. And so it's like halfway through the big section, it just messed it up. It was more yellow. Anyway, so it actually wouldn't probably work for a sweater unless I'd used... Yeah, no, we'll pass that on. I'll just get rid of it. If I want to knit them sweaters, I'm not going to knit them fingering weight colorwork sweaters anyway. Yeah, recycle, donate. So like if it doesn't go through our buy nothing page, then it goes typically into the city for donation. Although that doesn't happen as often as I would like, so. Here's the thing, I think there's a few places that take donations here, but then I guess most of the places in the city sell it too. But just because it's smaller, they have less capacity as well. And so because we're in the city to drop Dallas off a lot of the time, it's leave the capacity for the people in town that really need to use it and can't drive into the city as easily, I guess. That's what I'm getting to there. But I also prefer the buy nothing page because it's like, then I can just set it for pickup and someone can come pick it up. I don't have to worry about it, which is nice with the kiddos because then I don't have to organize around them as much. Besides, like, don't come right when I'm doing nap time. Or if you are, let me know and I'll put it in the bin. Alright, got 1, 2, got 3, 4. 4 more bags, including this one that I have on my lap. And then we'll be switching to the ones that I'll be bringing to Knit City, and then any leftover stock will be going on the website. Please let there be a little bit of a leftover stock, just in case, just for shows throughout the fall. But not so much. I would like to, like, I always pack bags in the suitcases, like the airline luggage, because they're not breakable, so you just throw them in and it goes really nicely. And it's a lot easier to carry in and out of, like, so many different places compared to bins. Because, like, you show up to shows and you don't know what kind of situation you're going to end up with it for hauling, basically. And so I use luggage because it works really well that way for ease of stock management. But I like it when I'm able to sell a full luggage worth of product and then I just carry, like, I nest them. That's a really good show. Selling, like, more out of the middle-size bag is even better. Knit City, I'll probably go with, like, I think at this point I'll still end up having a couple bins just because the big bags and the luxe tote bags fit in those better. And then the rest of the stuff will be in the luggage. I'll have to pack Paula's order in a box, I guess. Oh yeah, I need the markings. Okay. Mark it, and then I'm going to have a drink of water just so my voice doesn't completely wear out, because I can hear it going. Alright, penguins. This is such a good fabric. I wish I had bought more. That's the way of it, though. It's like, but at the same time, so when I was in Kyoto buying fabric, I pushed it really hard on the amount of time that I actually had in between, like, finishing buying my fabric at Nomura, getting to the station, getting across the station, and being able to get onto the bullet train that I needed to take to Tokyo. I even moved my bullet train to Tokyo because the last one that I could take on the JR pass was like 8:30 or 8:33 p.m. I think, and I had booked the 8:03. Thank goodness I changed the ticket reservation, because what ended up happening is I spent far longer at the Temple Market than I intended, because it felt really good, to be honest. I had planned to only really go and see Natsumi. She's the woman who makes all the charms for Day Day House, which are the little, like, cat charms I have. Anyway, but I ended up just spending more time there, and it was good and worth it. But I went up to Nomura, went around and chose out all my fabrics that I was going to buy at Nomura, and realized that I in no way had enough capacity, basically, to carry the fabric back to the station and onto the train. So I went back to my hotel room with the backpack from the Temple Market that was full, because again I had also promised myself I wasn't going to buy obi or anything like that, and instead I ended up buying obi and kimono, which worked out. It's good, but that meant that my backpack was at capacity. So the backpack itself, I think, weighed about 35 pounds, so hauling it around between, like, stations. And the problem with the Temple Market the Temple Market I went to in Kyoto in November, it was like a bus ride, actually, which is, for most places that I go to, unusual. So the one I normally do would be, like, walking distance from the station, at worst. I'm pretty sure it's also accessible by train line from Kyoto Station, but, like, it's a 10-15 minute walk, no big deal. At least for me at this point. But Kito no Tenmangu, which is the Temple Market I ended up in November, is like actually, and it's not a short bus ride, that's part of it. It's like a 40-minute bus ride out from Kyoto Station and from Noma the Tailor as well. So on top of like having filled this backpack, I also had to make sure that I got on that bus and I got the spot with like the luggage storage, because I was like, there's no way I'm standing on the bus with 35 pounds of fabric on my back for 40 minutes, if I can avoid it at least. Thankfully I did get the spot I needed, because then I was able to like just stand like a vulture over my backpack. It was definitely one of those bus rides where the locals were looking at me like I was crazy, and that's fine, because I am, for fabric. Anyway, I showed up to go to Nomoda. I went down into the subway station because, again, this backpack is huge. I'm like, I'm going to store it in a locker. I only had 400 yen. It was a 500 yen locker. I was short 100 yen. And no one I asked a couple people if they could break a larger coin for me, and no one could. So I had to go to the kombini to break the coin, and then I dropped it with this backpack still on me. And of course, because I figured out that I didn't have enough coins after I had stuffed the backpack in the locker. I'm just like, oh, it was a disaster. And then I got to Noma and I selected my fabrics, which was not as a disaster, but I figured out that it was something. I think I was like, I'm going to buy ideally 89 or 95 different fabrics, which I don't know why at that point I didn't clue into the fact that the luggage that I was going to use was going to be really annoyed. Anyway, I don't know how I even got into this story, but I will complete it. So at that point I went back, got the backpack, got on the subway, went up to the hotel from Kyoto Station, picked up my luggage, stored the luggage again at the baggage drop-off that's underneath Kyoto Station, because I didn't know how busy the lockers were. Sometimes you can't find lockers. It's actually cheaper, I think, to store the baggage with the luggage room in Kyoto Station if you're like storing multiple pieces. They even took my umbrella, sort of thing, so that was really nice. And of course they were like, well, make sure you're back at I think I had to be back there at 8. I'm like, oh yeah, there's no way I'm missing that, because I have to be on the train at 8:30 anyway. Take the empty luggage with me to back to Nomoda. I got there at 6 o'clock. They got me out of there. They closed at 7. They got me out of there at 7:02. They were literally pulling the gate closed behind me. So good though. They're so nice there. And actually, the woman who cut my fabric in November cut my fabric in May. She remembered me of all, which to me is still so cool, because it's I'm sure she's seen hundreds of people since me, and probably a lot of foreigners too. I'm not a regular face there, but she still remembered me, which was awesome. She was like, you have a really long receipt, and I'm like, yes, I thought you were the same woman. Anyway, so they got me in and out of there. That receipt was taller than her, I think, yeah, she had to stretch it out over top of her head. I think it's taller than me. I'm gonna have to track it down and actually measure it. It's in my tax box. Anyway, so they got me out of there at 7:02. I was not hauling this freaking luggage, because we packed all the fabric into the luggage. I was not hauling it onto the subway again, so I had to get someone to help me get a taxi, because I was super confused about how I was going to get a taxi. And then confused about where I actually wanted to be dropped off. Because for some reason I didn't say central entrance. I ended up saying that I wanted the Shinkansen lines, which are across the station. I basically used my JR pass to beeline through the station. Went and picked up my luggage. There's only one elevator in all of Kyoto Station. It's centralized, of course. So I'm dragging this bag. And this bag, because I have so much fabric in it, it's just refusing to do anything a luggage bag would normally do. So it's a spinner case. The spinner wheels weren't turning properly, and I was regretting my decisions, because it was new luggage. I bought it because we needed new stuff for traveling anyway, and I needed new lightweight luggage. So this is the lightest luggage you can get on the market. because the lighter it is, the more fabric I can fit into it. And so I was like cursing out this piece of luggage. I'm like, you are just cheap and blah blah blah. I called it some nasty names in my head. I was not swearing out loud, but it came damn close. Got on the elevator. I got everything sorted. I got onto my platform at the right time. It's all good. Got food. But got on the elevator to go up to the Shinkansen platform, and there was a woman who had been at Nomura Taylor while I was getting all of my vast quantities of fabric cut, and she's like, "Oh, you're the woman who bought all the fabric," and I'm like, "Yes, I am." Moral of the story was that bag was actually way over probably what it was actually rated for weight. So I have pushed those bags to their absolute limit, and the absolute limit is the weight that you can put on the plane, which, like, that they'll still operate decently, not necessarily well, but decently enough that you're not swearing at them in the station. And so that's usually around that 70 pound mark. 32 kilos, 70 pounds. I weighed the amount of fabric that was in there from Nomura Taylor alone when I got into Tokyo, and it turned out it was 85 pounds. And I'm like, oh, that's why this suitcase and why I and the taxi driver were struggling with it so much. Because I was like pushing it around the station, and I'm like, even with it not, like, it was putting up a fight anyway. And then I was like, how am I this weak? Can't be that bad. Oh, it was ridiculous. I am so glad I didn't take the subway though, because I can't imagine wrangling that on and off, because the gaps in between the trains and the platform are not huge, but they're enough to swallow the wheels on the like luggage. So you try to roll it over the gap and it just doesn't work. I figured out in Tokyo actually, and this is something that I'll remember in the future, is if I'm doing that, what I need to do is get to the wheelchair accessible door, because the platform gap there is smaller, which is also good with going with kids, because I have a feeling we'll still be using umbrella strollers, and or at least I want the option of having an umbrella stroller. I don't know if we'll be using them, but words, yeah, knowing where the wheelchair entrances are is super useful for when you have luggage there. Now typically I would send my luggage places. I don't want to be hauling 85 freaking pounds around. But the problem with the trip that I had in November is because I was only there like feet on ground for 4.5 days, and that includes the half day is the day that I landed in Tokyo and boogied down to Kyoto, is that there was not actually enough physical time for me to ship the luggage around. Granted, I probably could have shipped it out Kyoto to Narita. I should look more into if like that luggage storage room does the Takubin as well. They might. I don't think so. There's no signs for Kuroneko. But I need to start looking at like the stations a bit more for that sort of thing. Not that they could have actually taken the bag. So we figured out in May that the actual weight limit for Kuroneko is 30 kilos, not 32 kilos. So, although I would have then found out very quickly that that bag was vastly overweight. But I don't think I would have had time to actually ship the luggage. Like, besides the fact that the transit time would have been too long to get up to Narita from Kyoto. Just in general, I wouldn't have had time to physically ship the luggage before I had to get on the train. That's where I was going. Now that I think of it, that was a really dumb way to structure that day. I should have done Nomura first and then the Temple Market. But I remember why I did it that way. I did it that way because I was like, Nomura opened a little bit later, and I could get to the Temple Market before Nomura opened and be like, the plan was to be done. But that's okay. Current Katie does not regret having spent extra time at the Temple Market because it all worked out. So, it all worked out. I sound like I'm complaining. Sorry. It's not actually complaint. But it was a harrowing story to like struggle across Kyoto Station with this 85-pound bag that I didn't know was 85 pounds. What I did do, which was probably the smartest move I made all trip, is I did actually, because I had the JR pass, I had the rapid train included with my JR pass, of course. So on the day before my flights, I actually went up and I stored my luggage at Narita instead of having to struggle with it the following day when I was like under a time crunch to also get there to get on the flight. So I think that's probably one of the best ways I could have done that one. But it definitely showed the limitations that I would have doing this trip in future if I do it solo as well. And one of the most annoying things about traveling solo was the fact that I didn't have anyone to like help with the bags when I like need to go to the washroom or something like that. It's like you're in the airport like 2 or 3 hours in advance, 3 hours in advance because it's an international flight. It's Narita. It wasn't that busy. I didn't need to be there 3 hours in advance, but I was. And then our plane was delayed significantly. I can't even remember how long, but it was quite a while. And can't remember if we matched it up with that or if we matched it up with a light. I like the navy on it, so if this is the wrong zipper, we'll get another navy for one of the bags in the box that's supposed to be. Anyway, yeah, the like plane was delayed, and then it's like managing the bags for like I went and got a bowl of ramen, and it's like having to manage the little baggage cart getting in there. It was just it had its own learning curve because I'd never actually been on a shopping trip by myself. The plan had always been if I needed to I could, but I always ended up being able to organize it around other people going with me. So would I do it again though? In a heartbeat. Someone wants to pay for my flights to Japan, I will do it. I don't know, what could I do? Could vlog the whole experience, 24/7 vlog, 4.5 blog, feet on ground through to like returning home. That would be intense. With the exception, I would not obviously film showering or bed. Like, I would probably actually turn it off when I'm sleeping, but I could do the rest of it. That would be kind of a fun challenge and maybe something that I would do next trip. And next trip, yeah, I would actually end up. So typically I plan my trips around going to Toji, a different temple market, because it is the one that's closer to the station. And because on these trips I'm staying very as close to the station as money will allow. That's massive benefit, but the stuff just worked out that like I ended up at this different temple market, so I think I would end up structuring the day differently next time, or do Nomura Tailor the day before and then go visit Takako after having done the fabric shop. I think actually that might be the better option, because what I did is I landed in Tokyo and then the next day I went and explored what I was hoping would be fabric shops in Osaka that turned out to be dud completely. And then I did actually end up going to the supplier where I picked up a bunch of supplies, which is good. I do need to make a trip to them next time because that's where I get all these area race markers and stuff. But yeah, that might be actually what I would change, is I would go do Nomura Tailor and then go to see Takako, or vice versa, of like do Nomura and then do the temple market and then go visit Takako. Something. And or any other friends that are like in the area, because I do still have some friends that are in Japan. Well, actually one that's down in close enough that it's easier to meet up, because she married a Japanese gentleman, so she's gonna be there for the foreseeable future. Actually, I don't think they're ever moving out of Japan at this point, so that'll be someone I need to see next time. She couldn't meet up this time, but that worked out because we had a pretty busy schedule as it was. Anyway, yeah, if someone wants to pay for my plane ticket, and like, I don't know, what else should I get them to throw in, Andrea? Hotel accommodations as well? Yes, they would have to do a nice plane flight, so I could vlog about that, and then like the nice hotels, so that I could vlog about that. There we go. else? Maybe green car, Nozomi, JR Pass. The JR Pass, it's actually, at this point, we will not be purchasing the JR Pass anymore probably, because it's going up by like 70%. And it's like, that's fine. I think I've talked about this before, but if I'm repeating myself, I am. I don't think they've done a lot of drastic increases recently, but it's just like, it is a massive increase across like all 6 passes. So basically they've got like, so they have a regular car and they have a green car, ordinary and green. The green is nice because it's a little bit quieter. Typically the seats are 2x2 instead of like a 3x2 setup. And they're just a little bit nicer car. Basically, they're a little bit cushier. And then so there's those 2 categories, and then they have a 7, 14, and 21 day pass. And I think it's the 21 day pass that is going up the most. But it's like the 7 day pass. If I'm just going and doing fabric, I'm not using it enough to actually justify the pass. In November, I did because, but that was a push even on the current prices. Prices go up October 1st. But like if it goes up that much, what I would use it for is I would use it for the necks, and I use it for the bullet train down to Kyoto and then back to Tokyo. So like in November, I used it to get around on, I actually used the bullet train to get between Kyoto and Osaka because it was like a 15-minute ride. And if you got the JR pass, you may as well. There are definitely cheaper options to do that sort of thing, so it's not a big deal to lose the JR pass. I'm actually more familiar with a lot of the lines that aren't JR in the Kyoto and Osaka area, so it actually works out to my advantage in some ways as well. The drawback being that losing the JR pass does mean I can't, like, I couldn't do the pre-booking. That's true. Well, if they're gonna pay for the whole thing, then I could go for as long as we need. I just think it would be really fun to be able to do like, the mad dash in and out. Here's how you do a fabric shopping trip in Japan in 4.5 days. Go. This is not a recommended action, because if you want to see Japan, this is not the trip to be on. But it's fun to think about. Okay, we are into the bags that for me. I'm just trying to find one that has retained its zipper, because apparently when I put these in the box, a lot of them lost their zippers. Hey, the ducks have their zippers, so let's do the ducks. Need to find some sort of like, I guess maybe like non-sexual sugar daddy. Admirer of the arts and short and long form documentary. If you just came into this conversation, for some context, is that I was just asking Andrea what else we should add on to a trip, because I was basically saying it's like, what would be fun is to go and like vlog one of these 4.5 days on the ground on the feet trips, but right now I don't have the money to do it, because I gotta recoup the costs for buying fabric in May and November realistically. But anyway, what I was saying is, it's like, if someone wants to sponsor this trip, I would totally be down for doing that and like vlogging the majority of the experience, with the exception of like washroom and like sleeping probably. But Andrea has a very fair point that if someone is paying for the trip, they would probably want to go as well. It would be really hard to like vlog a 2-week trip though, like, because when I'm saying vlogging, I'm thinking of like doing like live constantly, kind of, you could do it as like a charity stream or something like that. That would be good. But this is where it's, what time is it? Yeah, it's 11:30. Okay. I'm starting to run out of like things to talk about. So it's like, let's just spitball absolutely out of this world ideas. But sometimes that's fun. And honestly, sometimes putting this stuff into the universe means that it'll come back. So this is me putting it out into the universe. Alright. So we are done all the zippers on Paula's large box bags, which means tomorrow I'll be able to turn the box bags and we can I'll iron and top stitch tomorrow night. So I'll be turning the bags and the handles. And then we'll see what goes from there. I will not be on stream again until Wednesday afternoon. And then I'll be back on that same schedule as I was last week of streaming in the afternoon. And then in the evening, although I will be able to be on earlier because Dallas will be on bedtime duty. So I'll probably be on closer to, I'll post the exact schedule on Instagram, but it'll be like post dinner time to sometime. It probably won't be as late, just because we have a busy week coming up. So I'll be streaming earlier rather than this late. So I'll probably stream about 6, 7 to like 9:30, 10. That sounds about right. But we'll see also kind of just how this week pans out as well. This fabric has a bunch of stretch, so I need to give it like, ooh, yeah, that is actually the main reason to bring someone else. As I was saying that, like, the worst part of traveling alone is the fact that you don't have someone to help with bags. Right. All right, well, if someone wants, okay, so this is what we're going to try to manifest. We're going to put it out in the universe, and maybe something will happen. I don't know. I want to go do another Mad Dash trip in Japan, sponsored by someone else. So the 4.5 days on the ground. It would be vlogged live, mostly. Payment for the trip would include like hotels, flights, JR pass, with the fast train upgrade to the Mizuho and the Nozomi, because then we wouldn't have to worry as much about when we would need to leave Kyoto and all of that. What else? It has to be good hotels. So like central location. I plan the trip and we do what I want. I guess that's an important caveat. And you get to come along for the experience, but you're really there for exactly what Andrea just said, of luggage and cameras. It would be an experience though. I do promise that. Oh, and direct flights out of Calgary. We would need to take the WestJet direct flight from Calgary, because it's on the Dreamliner, and that is the nicest plane on the Boeing fleet right now. And honestly, if I don't have to go through Vancouver again, I don't want to. Hell, I'll even plan it all. You just have to pay for it. That would be a wild thing to suddenly have manifested. Maybe I should go buy a lottery ticket and I can manifest it myself. Maybe that's what this means. Alright, got sketchy sweater cats. Although if that's the case, then we wouldn't be going for just 4.5 days. Although I still think that would be fun. I should have done more filming when I was actually there. But it's kind of like trying to keep the phone charged and like do all the things just wasn't in the cards this last trip. Like I said, it had like, so when I went in November solo for the first, like that was the first time I've traveled internationally by myself since my exchange. So it'd been, what was last year, 2022? So that means it'd been 13 years since I solo traveled. So it's like lots of things had changed. I had changed a lot. I think that's the big thing. And then there's a little bit of that concern of like leaving the kids and like what if something happens to me personally while I'm traveling and all of that. So yeah, so it was a learning curve. I think I would do better this trip having already done it now. But last trip was not necessarily the one to do that much documentation on. Now looking at it, I kind of get how I would do it. Having watched a few more vlogs now of people actually in Japan and like what they're talking about, and like kind of figuring out this live streaming and figuring out a little bit different of a voice now. Not like different me, but like the medium is very different now compared to the podcasting that I used to do. So it's just like just figuring out all the learning curves, equipment, because like this mic will be a lot better for actually doing work live in Japan. The thought process that I could even do a live video while I'm fabric shopping is like completely wasn't even something that I think of on the radar when I was there in November. Like, I don't know why not. Oh right, and if we're doing this trip and it's 4.5 days, and someone else is paying, the other manifestation is that the vlog would be a charity event of some description with donations to Diabetes Canada, and maybe a matching donation from whoever this mysterious benefactor is. They would be making the donation towards Diabetes Canada and the Diabetes in Japan. I'm sure they've got some sort of association there, or an equivalent for maybe animal rescue there or something like that. There, manifested. Let's let her out in the universe. Let's see what we can do to work towards that. Like you said, maybe I buy a lottery ticket, and that's what this is. And then I can take Dallas, and he can manage the bags and the cameras. When I get really busy and stressed, I do end up daydreaming trips up a lot, and I think it freaks him out a little bit because I'm like talking about like sounding like I have fairly solid plans for Japan already. I'm like, I don't have solid plans, I'm just daydreaming. These are all very grand what ifs for in a couple years, and they can change. Is back behind me. I don't know actually if you can know the mic's in the way. Being a very fluffy slug. Yeah, lots of these bags. So I did such a like diligent job of matching up all their zippers and folding them up so that they'd be paired up together till I sewed them, and then when I put them in the box, they like scattered. Okay, so there's that one. The navy one that I sewed into the sheep actually came from this. I do remember which bag it came from. So I'll have to grab another navy zipper before I sew that. That's fine. Let's do the frogs. And apparently I cut way too much lining fabric for Paula's order, so I've got extra here, which is whatever. It works out for the next round of like large box bags. And here are the frogs. These are the infamous frogs that I keep counting. Talking about that, they look like the scroll that has the bunnies on it, and they do. Because I was like, it's such a traditional like looking print, and I'm like, but Japan is like, I don't really think of frogs when I think of Japan. And then I remembered the art scroll, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I can't remember the name. It was in the live chat a while ago now. Oh, and there's its handle. Okay, so I do need to cut a few extra handles worth of interfacing. And yeah, I swear, people, I don't know. Isn't it something, haven't they studied the fact that like planning the trip in some ways is a better payoff mentally than the actual trip for a lot of people. I cannot say that for Japan. Japan is always absolutely superb for me. So it's like I find with that place, and the same with Disney, is the more effort you put into your planning, the better it's going to like pay off when you get there. Although I am the planner, I plan the trips, and that's just my opinion on it, I guess. Given that I was an information counselor and like helped people plan their trips when they're at when I was a summer student, it kind of makes sense. So yeah, because it's not just Japan. It's like I do eventually want to go to Hawaii once things are, I don't know what's going to happen there. Once things are a little bit more balanced out again for the native Hawaiians and things like that, hopefully. Where else? Greece. Greece is really up there, actually. Australia's always been somewhere I've wanted to visit, even as a kid. I'm actually surprised when I think about it that I didn't choose Australia as one of my options for exchange. I really would like to go back to Singapore. I had the opportunity and took it. I took the opportunity to go when I was there in Japan because the flights were like ridiculously cheap compared to flying from Canada. And my roommate, when I was in dorm at U of C, was on exchange from Singapore, so I got to see her as well. So it was like a nice twofold thing. It was also nice to go back to like a Commonwealth country and get Cadbury chocolate. It's something I still remember. It's the Cadbury chocolate. Because there's some things you can't find in Japan, or at least you can't find without paying like an arm and a leg. Cheaper than a plane flight to Singapore, but you know, it's not the experience of Singapore. Where else? Eventually I do want to go to Scotland and England. One of our friends, she recently transferred out of China. She teaches English as a second language abroad. And she was in China for a really long time, like since she graduated with her bachelor's in education. And she's in Hong Kong now, so that would be a good opportunity to get over and see her. Although I think she eventually does want to end up in Singapore, so oh no, the even bigger excuse to go back. This, of course, is all going to be when the kids are a little bit older for a lot of these. Japan will be when they're fairly young, just because it's like, obviously it's business, mostly. And exposure, I think, is really good. If you can do it, try to do as much of it as you can, sort of thing, right? So, because the whole plan with my eldest was that we were going to go in when they were like 6 months old. Yeah, we were supposed. I was looking at going in November of 2020, and obviously that didn't happen. for good reason. Yeah, the UK. Where else? Greece. I would love to go to Egypt, but that always feels like one of those places where it's like, it could be really, really good, or it could just be a disaster. I'm not 100% sure where they're at right now. But that's been like one of those places on my list since I was a kid too. Yeah, I've heard really good things about Spain, although it's never been like high on my list. I'm definitely more like on the Asia and Pacific side of like travel desires. I think actually we were talking that we'll probably end up doing like Ireland and Germany and like a lot of those higher alcohol content tours when the kids are old enough to drink. So those will be a little bit further down the line. Italy, I want to go to Florence. That's one of the big ones actually. We'll get there eventually. Oh, my bobbin ran up. Alright. Just make sure that the case doesn't have a bunch of like lint in it. Swap bobbins. The UK would be really cool. Actually, Knit City just put out, they're doing a retreat tour in Ireland, of all places, in like March or April next year, which is super cool. And for what's included, it was actually not a bad price. It's pretty pricey. It's not anything I want to spend. Oh, right, this is supposed to have a dark brown zipper because we're going to pick up the dark brown tail feathers. Okay, so both of these guys lost their... So the retro jam labels and the berry birds lost their zippers. Yeah, that would be a really good way to do, like... do some touring of the actual locations, right? I want to go to Florence because it's just like... I want to go see the Duomo. And obviously David, which is pretty easy since he's in the Duomo, right? Oh my goodness, where is he located? Let me see. I'm gonna move my mic and we're gonna take a look because I'm pretty sure he's in the Duomo. But now that I said that, I was like, where is he located? Because it just, I don't know, there's some of those things that's just like, there has to be a reason why, right? David. I guess I need to actually put statue of David. I would also love to do like Venice before everything, but I don't know if that will happen. Because I always hear like, it's like Venice is busy, but I always like everyone who's ever gone seems to never regret it either. Oh, yeah, okay. Sweet. So he is in the Duomo, right? He's in Florence, but I can't tell. It's like for the Galleria dell'Accademia di Firenze. No, okay, so he's not actually in the Duomo. He looks like he should be. It's like built like the Duomo. Anyway, this is interesting though. I haven't actually done a lot of reading about it besides like the very basic information you end up getting when you actually do like an art history class. But apparently he was actually supposed to be... So David was originally commissioned as one of the series of statues of prophets to be positioned along the roofline. This is off Wikipedia. And this is the quote. So, prophets to be positioned along the roofline of the east end of the Florence Cathedral. So the Duomo di Firenze. It's that like big dome in the middle of Florence for the church. But David was instead placed in the public square in front of the Palazzo della Signoria, the seat of civic government in Florence, where it was unveiled on September 8th, 1504. He is old. Holy crap. So what does that make? It's like over 500 years old. In 1873, the statue was moved to the Galleria dell'Accademia, Florence, and in 1910 replaced at the original location by a replica. Oh, okay. Apparently, the biblical figure David was a favored subject in the art of Florence. Because of the nature of the figure it represented, the statue soon came to symbolize the defense of civil liberties embodied in the Constitution of the Republic of Florence, an independent city-state threatened on all sides by more powerful rival states. Huh. is our late night learning. Since I don't have an encyclopedia, we will read it from Wikipedia. Yeah, Wikipedia is probably far more nuanced than a lot of the actual like encyclopedia entries that you would end up with as well. Anyway, so alright, I'm just going to move everything back so that I don't knock the mic over when I start sewing here. Just make sure it's not going to click on anything either. Yeah, we're good. Okay, there we go. Because besides reading off Wikipedia articles, I do think I probably can go, yeah, it's almost midnight, so just started into the bags from Knit City stock, so let's go until 12:30. We'll see how much more I can actually get done. But yeah, grease is up there too. Actually, that just made me think of the whole return the artifacts with the museums, and Egypt actually just opened up a massive artifact museum in, I think it's in Cairo, I don't remember, but it's like insane because they've actually built it around some of the statues that were on the pyramids or around the pyramids. Not 100% sure because I didn't read about it a lot. I was just like in awe of the actual architecture for the building. It was insane. Oh, apparently there is a little bit of a drip of oil there. All right. Also want to go do like some of the fine art museums, like the Louvre, places like that. Eventually. Actually, I don't know how I ended up on this, but apparently my Instagram knows that I have expensive tastes. So it's like, you can go and stay in Versailles for the night. The cost to stay in Versailles is like more than I have spent in Japan. Probably on the last 3 trips combined, even for this 2-week one with Caroline in May. It was very expensive, like restrictively expensive for us. It's a cool idea, I like it, but I'm just like, no, we'll just go admire Versailles if and when we ever get to France. I feel like what we should probably end up doing is it's like England and, oh, well, that might actually be the call off right there. Yep. Alright, my youngest is woken up, so I gotta go take care of that, and we're quite a ways in here as well. So I hope you guys all have a fantastic night. I will be back on tomorrow night, hopefully